What is up? It is me, Scuba'a, aka Steve Kreklow. We are here with Kirblet,
How's it
aka
going?
John Kirby. It
Uh,
is the 21st episode of the Retro Game Redux podcast.
21 episodes in. It's old enough to gamble now.
All right. Well, we're going to set it up with some Pokemon, and hopefully it will be the best like no one ever was.
Right.
Because
Get the slot machines going.
Pokemon is just a gambling game for children. Let's be honest.
It's just a gambling, with other elements just wrapped around in there.
They make it seem like you're doing something that's
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm so skilled in battling. It's like, no, you're just playing poker.
It's just the gateway drug,
Speaking of poker, though, Curb, can I tell you about my new addiction?
Is it Balatro?
It's Balatro. How did you
What
know?
a coincidence. It's also my new addiction.
It's the most fun deck building. Like, I mean, I've actually only played that and Slay the Spire. And
Yeah.
what's the other one? Hearthstone?
Yeah, I think Hearthstone is definitely
is
a deck
one.
builder.
Yeah. It's the most fun of those that I've played because it's just poker, except you get to cheat. And I was playing on stream today. I got my first win.
Oh, nice.
With the help of some faithful chat members, advising me when I needed advice.
Very nice. Very nice.
And I'm just having a great time with it. And I love how it's like really retro-y in nature, but it's a modern game, right?
Right, absolutely. It's got the retro art style that I just absolutely love, especially when you implement it really nicely into a modern games, modern graphic resolutions and stuff like that. It's just lovely to see.
You know what it reminds me of? Did you ever check out like the old demo scenes, sort of like videos and stuff like that back in the days of like PC game pirating and stuff? The company would also just to sort of flex a bit, the group would release like art packs and like videos that and tunes that went with their installers and stuff like that. And
no, I don't really remember that. The closest thing I have is like there were like demo CDs that came with some games. Like you can install little PC builds of certain demo games. Like one of my favorite ones had like 3 or 4 games. One of which had this weird like Konami eraser. I forget. I think it was like Konami erasers or something like that. One of the characters you could play was like Goemon. From the Ganbare Goemon Mystical Ninja series.
Right. So these weren't demo games; they were demos of what they could do graphically and sonically with programming.
Oh,
yeah. So there'd be these crazy like 3D looking graphics. I think it started on the Commodore 64 and Amiga scene, and I grew up with like loving those intros. I just collect them, and there's actually a bunch of them on YouTube. If you search like 80s, 90s game intro, collections or whatever, you can find them. Some of the like as a composer, like that's sort of the first kind of electronic music I was ever into, is that kind of stuff.
Wow. Like actually hearing you talk about that, it's actually stirred up an actual memory that I've had. There was a demo like that, like a graphical and music demo, and it all ran off of like 56 or 100 kilobytes. And it was just this impressive, like mathematically generated like demonstration. It was pretty impressive. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but maybe you've heard of something about like this before.
What was it for?
It was like the size of it was actually impressive. It was like 56 or 150 kilobytes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but it was just like 3 or 4 minute demo, and you had to have to run it really well. You had to have like a decently powerful computer.
Right.
I think this was like mid 2000s tech.
Yeah, so this stuff was like early 90s. That's when I got into it, and it was it was PC, and it's sort of like the big deal for me, like in that era was like, oh, I finally have a VGA or an SVGA monitor, so it can display more than 16 colors at a time.
256 colors. Upgrade, baby.
Yeah, right. So as soon as I got a VGA monitor, it's like I wanted to test it out, and so I would call into I would use my modem, which was like a 2400 baud modem. And later I got a
Mhm.
14.4 modem, which is
Okay.
not, comparatively like lightning speed, but by today's standards, it was
Just
just
flex.
raw.
You're flexing at this point. It's like I had this, I had the old school
Oh,
technology
that's all
before
I
anyone
had
else.
though. That's all I had. But what I'm saying is like
Yeah.
these files were like they could run on any computer pretty much because they're all
Nice.
like done in like really efficient assembly language, and like the code was just so legit and tight, and a lot of the animation was made by like scrolling the palette, or like sort of cycling the palette,
Oh wow. Okay.
and Balatro. The reason I'm talking about this is because Balatro to me looks like that. It looks
Really?
like that old, that sort of like when you load up the game, it has that crazy like kind of psychedelic kind of red thing that,
Yeah, and the cards kind of breaking down. Yeah.
like, not the card but the
Oh,
background.
the background. Yeah, I did notice that was also pretty psychedelic, and especially on the start screen.
Yeah. So shout outs to the hacker scene who inspired everyone, including I guess the Balatro devs with that. But yeah, I don't know. It will lead me into a topic that I want to cover later on. I got some special stuff I've been working on.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but I would love to hear about your gaming pursuits, Curb, because I think you've kind of leveled up in some departments and you've been doing some a new kind of gaming, and I'd love to hear all about it.
Nice. Yeah. For those who don't know, I have recently been the purchaser of a OLED Steam Deck. I got the 512 gigabyte version, the mid-range version, but don't let it fool you. It's still a really powerful, really beautiful looking device. And actually, most of the time I've been playing Balatro has actually been on the Steam Deck. So that's been one of my main things I've played lately. I haven't had a chance to test it, like really kind of put it through its paces yet.
Yeah.
I plan to do that sometime, maybe this week. But for now, I've just been enjoying the heck out of Balatro, and I actually beat the game for the first time today as well.
Nice.
Speaking of beating things today, it took me figuring out the multiplier was not the same as a addition of a multiplier. There's differences, and once I figured that out, it was off to the
Yeah.
races.
Yeah, the flat bonus and then the multiplier. And then you
Yeah.
want to get it on both sides. So you want the cards to have like some extra coins with them or whatever.
Right, right. And I also apparently learned having an order, the order of your jokers can also determine your score as well.
Isn't
Which I
that
didn't
cool?
that right? It's like you actually got to strategize. You got to figure out, okay, how am I
Yeah.
going to maximize the benefit? It's just a big old game of math here. It's nothing but
Yeah.
numbers.
I hate to say it, but friendship ended with Slay the Spire. Balatro is my new best friend.
But yeah, no, I've actually beaten it twice and unlocked a couple of good decks. I actually got a legendary Joker that disables the boss debuffs.
What? That's so awesome.
It's great. I got a couple of soul cards in the spectral packs, and that got one of the legendaries for me, which is just it's preem.
You know, the one that went for me today
Uh,
that fueled my run was I think it was called
mm,
Blackboard. Have you seen
oh,
Black?
blackboard.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so as long as you have only spades and clubs in your deck, in your
Nice. Yeah.
hand, that's left in your hand when you play a hand,
Mhm.
then you get a 3 times bonus, 3 times
Nice.
multiplier.
Very nice. Yeah, for me it was the Joker stencil.
Hmm.
And then I think there's a card that when you sell other Jokers, it increases your multiplier.
Oh yeah, I've seen
Um,
that. Yeah,
yeah. So
nice,
that was a clincher for me.
cool.
So
So
that's been great.
what else goes on the Steam Deck? Like, will it play like modern games and stuff?
It'll play some modern games. I still need to test some out.
Mm.
I'm probably going to test what was it? I was looking at it earlier. I was going to test something like Yakuza 0. I was going to test that out and see how that ran on Steam Deck.
Thank you. Thank you. And fuck you also, because if that works on Steam Deck, I might be buying a Steam Deck.
It's really great. Yeah. I'll keep you updated with the results of my testing,
Nice.
my scientific endeavors.
So, does it run retro games?
Oh, I need to install emulators on that, but I know that it will. I will be installing RetroArch on it. And I don't see why it wouldn't run retro games. RetroArch with their cores and stuff is pretty decently optimized. I would like to say
It's great. I've been using it on my Mac lately, and just on my tiny little Mac laptop, and it's a tank. It's just it does everything.
Nice.
And
well, speaking of emulators, did you hear about what's going on with Yuzu?
I just saw that video before we went live. MVG came out and he's like, "Yep." I didn't read any press release or whatever, but I saw that MVG was talking about it. Excuse me. Yeah. So Nintendo, settled with the Yuzu devs, and they're going to shut everything down, remove all the code, remove all the websites, transfer over all the domains to Nintendo or whatever, and pay $2.4 million.
Ah, man, that's the clincher, the $2.4 million. Thankfully, I mean, here's the thing, though. With emulators like that, I mean, Nintendo could only do so much because the Streisand effect's going to take full steam ahead with it and just distribute it on the internet. So it's going to be, I think, pretty hard for Nintendo to lock that down, so to speak.
Yeah.
But even then, there is a good bit of barrier of entry to even working on to getting Yuzu to work in the first place, from what I've read. So
for sure. You know, man, it sucks that Nintendo is just the thing that we all love the most in some ways, and also the most expensive thing to love.
Right. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's like it's the on again, off again relationship you have with them, you know.
Exactly. I mean, you know, you hate to love them, you love to hate them.
Right.
But they ain't going nowhere because
no, I don't think they're
they
going to
got
go
all the Mario and all the Pokemon and all the Zelda and Metroid and whatever. Have you been playing anything else? Are you doing any F-Zero stuff lately?
I've actually am working on the second map. As a matter of fact, I actually finished the first map. My pack, I'm going to do 15 tracks. So I'm gonna. It's going to be eventually called the Beta Leagues. I'm basically the premise of it is kind of like, what if the people who develop the tracks, you know, lore wise, by the way, let me make it clear here. Lore wise, what if the people who ran the F-Zero races were designing different tracks that didn't quite make it into the main original story, you know? And so I'm kind of designing tracks kind of loosely based off the original tracks, kind of changing things up, so to speak. Yeah. I was like showing
hacks of the sort of variants of the original tracks.
Variants or different designs, kind of in the spirit. Yeah. So I've already finished the first Mute City track.
Very cool.
So, and I'm working right now on I'm doing Port Town next.
Awesome.
So I'm kind of doing a variant based on that. So kind of incorporating some of the elements that make Port Town. But kind of incorporating some new things, new variant designs, and making just a little more difficult. Have you ever watched a rally race or seen rally races or played a rally game?
I have no experience with F-Zero. I've never watched it. I saw somebody play F-099 for about 5 minutes. I tried F-Zero. Was it F-Zero X? What's the N64 one?
That's F-Zero X, yes.
I tried that for about 5 minutes. The first map was doable, and then I quickly got bad. But yeah, I mean, we always talk about F-Zero now. I feel like I should try it. So maybe coming soon to a stream near you, I play some F-Zero. my palette, my plate has been cleaned now that Dark Souls is finished.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you get every boss, or did you just like, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish the story kind of thing?
Every boss.
Every boss. Well, first of all, sir, congratulations. And two, holy cow, you have put yourself through some immense pressure getting all that done, I bet.
Like I feel like I was doing it for me, but I was doing it for everyone else who was on the fence about whether they should try Dark
Hmm.
Souls or whatever. Or like, you know, so much of it is like in your attitude
Hmm.
towards that kind of game. It's like you have to accept death as an inevitability in that game. And once you do, it becomes about, okay, well, how do I how do I die better and better and stuff? And I learned a lot about the game. I learned a lot about myself, I want to
Really?
say. And I had a lot of fun, even though, like, look, when I actually think about what it was like to play some of those areas, like New
Hmm.
Londo Ruins in particular,
Yeah.
was a sack of shit.
What
And
was your favorite area?
my favorite area was honestly the 1-1, like the Undead Burg. It was so cool the way that everything connects. Because
Hmm.
that's the thing in Dark Souls, you don't get a map, but you create a mental map of that whole world. And once you see that it's not a flat earth but a globe, like that things connect,
Hmm.
not it's not like a globe literally, but just like the fact that there's connections between seemingly separate areas. So all
Yeah.
of a sudden there's 2 or 3 ways to get to this one place. It's like, oh well, which is the fastest? And now I'm running up against this boss, and maybe it's going to be easier to go to this other bonfire and go from there instead. And
Okay.
yeah, and just like learning how to improvise on the fly, which we can all get better at that.
Right.
Um, and I just thought it was like a really like uh, good exercise in self development, but also in self love, because you have to like you can never think I'm shit. I am shit at this game. I will never be good at this game.
Mhm.
You can think I'm not good at this game, but I'm still good. So that's the thing that I found out about streaming video games for the last 3 years. Sorry to take it so deep so fast,
No,
but
no,
like
no. Keep going.
it's
It's very
like
interesting.
the thing that I used to feel is bad when I was bad at a game. It's like, well, I'm not good enough compared to so and so or whatever. But it's not even a comparison thing. It's like I'm
Hmm.
not good enough compared to what I thought I would be.
Right.
My expectation. And so when you remove expectation, or when you just like have the lowest expectations for your performance, like I'm going to die over and over again, it you have nowhere to go but up. So my final death count was 1,517 deaths.
1,517.
Yeah. So that was apparently quite a bit. Apparently I don't know. I looked it up. Of the people who
Mhm.
said how many times they died on their first playthrough, I didn't find anyone who died that much who would admit it. But I happily admit it. I
You kind of celebrated it on stream in a way. Like you had a automatic
yeah.
death counter that you had built in. I can think there's like a script that was reading your RAM. I think that's how you
Yeah.
described it.
Yeah, there's a little like TSR, a little memory resident sort of program called DS Deaths that sort of
Okay.
reads the
That's what
RAM of
it
the game.
was. Yes, deaths. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so easy to use. And what I found is like it really flipped the script on people coming in and teasing you for being bad at the game, which is
Yeah.
inevitable in any game. But when you're just like, I'm having so much fun. Why? you,
I don't
you
care
know,
that I'm dying. Here,
yeah,
here, celebrate with me. Celebrate my failures
yeah.
with me. Come on, you flip the script on them, so to speak.
Well, they're not failures, right? You can't fail playing a video game if your goal is to just have fun and the game is fun for you. You know
You
what I
know what?
mean?
Yeah, I
There's no
completely
failure.
100% respect that.
Some like basketball player once said that, like, there's no such thing as failure in sports. You know, after they like got an early exit from the playoffs, it's like, this is a game. This is like, whether you win or lose, it's like you are doing something you love.
It's not a mistake. It's a happy little accident.
No. That's not it.
No.
It's that there's not even a way to make a mistake if your goal is just to have fun. If your goal is to beat it in under 3 days with this soul level and, no upgrades and blah, 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 it's like, maybe you can make a mistake. But the cool thing about Dark Souls is like, despite what people think, I think to a degree, you get to set the difficulty of that game for yourself.
Oh, it's only as hard as you make it out to be, as you truly want it to be.
Well, I mean, at some point it's hard. Even at the, but you can make it easier. Like, you can upgrade, you can find new weapons, you can find new bonfires, you can find shortcuts and all that stuff. And all that stuff, everything that you upgrade, you like, unless you're looking it up, like, you do that yourself. You did that. So, I don't know, man. I think that's something that it has in common with a lot of like early retro games. And it's made me want to play more hard games. It's made me want to like I've avoided playing the rest of the Contras, like Contra 3 and Contra Hardcore, even though I'm pretty good at the original Contra. It's like, well, I don't want to be bad at a Contra game. But it's
You beat Super C, right?
I beat Super C. Super C was very difficult for me. It's not. It was not as easy as Contra. Contra is super easy. Anyway, do you have anything you want to talk about today? I think you wanted to touch on some reproduction stuff.
Yeah. So I got to thinking the other days, like, a lot of people would probably naturally assume that, retro games, other than the other than the niche retro scene, homebrew scene, there aren't really any production cartridges being made anymore. And, I decided to put that little notion to the test, and I actually came out surprisingly and happily wrong. It turns out that companies are still making reproductions of old retro games.
I only barely knew that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's now the first one that would come to mind would be the arcade one-up machines. You've heard of those before, right?
Sure.
It's like miniature versions of
we've
original.
Talked about those.
Yeah, we've talked about those before. This time, I'm actually talking about reproduction hard console cartridges.
Yeah.
And these aren't just bootleg cartridges that are being made. And that's an easy thing to obfuscate. What I'm referring to more is officially licensed cartridges, is more what I was really surprised by. There's a company out there called I Am 8-Bit, and I believe there are more out there as well. But one of them is I Am 8-Bit. Yeah. They've done, they're doing games like in partnership with Capcom, especially. They have re-released over the years Mega Man 2, Mega Man X, and even Rare did a thing where they did Battletoads re-release for the NES. And it's actual reproduction cartridges for the actual consoles too. Even Disney, oddly enough, got in on the action with The Lion King for the Super Nintendo and Aladdin for the Genesis as well. Unfortunately, as of the recording of this episode, the only one still available is Mega Man X for the SNES.
Yeah,
one of my favorite Mega Mans of all time. And they released it in two different colors, a gray cartridge and a blue cartridge. And right now on their website, they have a thing where they only made that 1,000 blue cartridges, and 7,500 white cartridges. So about 8,500 in total.
Mm-hmm.
And this is released on the 30th anniversary of Mega Man, an official partnership. And this is official. Again, this is official legacy release, but with it, partnership with Capcom. So this is legit, as legit as it gets.
Wow.
And for $100, if you want a reproduction cartridge of Mega Man X for the Super Nintendo, it's still available.
No way. Well, the one that I think of immediately that a friend of the podcast and sometimes a special guest of the podcast, Jimmy Chonga.
Yep.
He was playing the Retrobit reproduction of the Wily Wars, which is, I think, the only Sega Genesis Mega Man game.
I think so, yeah, because it's been pretty much a Nintendo exclusive for years. But yeah, actually, it was Jimmy that kind of inspired me to kind of look into this. It's like, wait a second, he's got a reproduction card? That can't be right. Is that legit? And it totally was.
Yeah.
And it's official. It's not a bootleg. It's not a someone out there in the homebrew community decided to do it. No, this is official Capcom release. So props to Capcom and other companies who are still doing this. I think, and they're pretty much all sold out too, which is a wonderful thing. Even if it's in limited production, it's still a wonderful thing. And it just goes to show you physical media is still in demand. Even companies like Limited Run Games who still do a lot of Nintendo Switch releases.
Yeah.
They're making a good buck on it.
Well, they certainly are Limited Run is certainly making a good buck on it because they're just, they're kind of holding back a lot of stock, I think, in my opinion.
I think so,
I watched
too.
a pretty inflammatory video about their dealings and how there's sort of this sort of false this faux scarcity amongst their releases when in fact they have lots of them to sell at their exclusive events and their con appearances and stuff like that. I don't know. But if you like that stuff, you have the money to spend, I say do it. Me, I have never, aside from the stuff I grew up on, I have never wanted to collect hardware just because it takes up so much space. And I live in downtown Toronto where space is very expensive.
Yeah, I live in a townhouse, so the space is limited where I live too. Yeah. So, no, I know exactly what you think. I think, I do agree that there's some criticism that can definitely be levied at limited run games for, cashing in what essentially is, cashing in on FOMO or fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I hope that limited run games will turn themselves around on. I hope they will continue to release more, especially when they do a lot of Switch releases, which, it's easy to make Switch physical copies nowadays, and they're so small. They're not taking up a lot of material.
Yeah.
They could stand to make more cartridges like that.
Have you seen them? Have you seen people disassemble the Switch game chips or whatever?
I haven't.
There's nothing in those things.
Really?
Some of them are just literally like an SD card, like a micro SD card.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I know they're making
and with DRM.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I know they're starting to come out with flash cartridges for Switch now.
I saw that.
Yeah.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Oh man, and my whole take on that, and especially when right on the heels of what happened with Yuzu, it's like, dude, don't make flash cards on modern systems. Give it a generation or two before you start doing stuff like that. That's just my opinion.
They're gonna do it, and it's gonna get worse. It's gonna be as long as Nintendo and all the companies put out physical media. That physical media, especially if it's literally just a CD. It's a CD. It's not anything special. It's just something that holds a game. And the problem with a lot of it is the CD contains it doesn't even contain a playable release sometimes. You need a day one patch to play it.
Right.
So
right.
What happens when there's no more PlayStation Network or whatever, like Sony
Mm.
becomes fucking Disney or something. And they shut that down in 20 years. And then you go
Right.
to put in your, Sonic Generations disc or whatever, and it doesn't work anymore.
Right. And that's
You
a
know?
shame too.
It's really a shame. And then what you have is just a souvenir of a game you used to like.
And PS1 discs are kind of a ticking time bomb of their own.
Yeah, because of disc rot. Yeah.
The disc rot, exactly. That was something that thankfully PlayStation 2 discs have mostly avoided, but the PS1 disc especially were especially hit hard with the disc rot problem.
Mm.
And it's kind of like the same thing that happens with a Super NES. Some of the plastic just yellows over time. It's just a chemical reaction,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a materials problem.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's as simple as that. Some people think, oh, it's planned obsolescence. No, it's just that the materials back then to make these kind of discs were even then still newer somewhat new technology back in the day. And there was always going to be something that was eventually going to go wrong. And so it did. But the technology gets better.
Yeah. Well, be that as it may, I still think that, there's this false permanence that people associate with physical media, and nothing lasts. So
Yeah.
the only thing that lasts forever, for as long as we live, is
Mhm.
our love and our nostalgia and our memories, and even that doesn't last.
That's true. We're still remembering games that we played in the day that we hadn't played in years, and seeing a
Yeah.
video just awakens all of that. You're not thinking about it until it just
Right.
pops into your brain.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still think there's a point in preserving it,
Mhm.
and that's why I'm such an advocate of flashcards
Mhm.
and ODE stuff. I think it's the
Yeah.
best way to enjoy games. I think you can play ROM hacks easily.
Yeah.
When you take away the necessity of physical media, then you have access to so much more. And that's a great segue to my next topic, which I'm very excited. I didn't tell you about this before the stream because I just wanted
No.
to tell you about it in a way that was fresh. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so would it surprise you that I made an NES ROM yesterday?
No, what? It would actually surprise me.
Well, I mean, I'm being a little disingenuous because it wasn't. I basically exported some music to a ROM.
Okay.
So, the reason why I did that, I've been
Mm.
working on, and I won't say too much about it, but I've been
Okay.
working on basically the ultimate representation of retro game drums.
What?
So, we all love, I especially love retro game music.
Mhm.
Um, as primitive as it is, it just hits really hard, right? Like, uh, an NES tune is 4 channels plus a crude sample playback system.
Right.
And there's some of the, most banging tunes we've ever heard. Like
Right.
all the old Konami stuff, all the old Capcom stuff for NES, like Bayou Billy, for example. It sounds
Anything
so
Tim
great.
Fallon's did.
Anything Tim Fallon did. Speaking like the Ken Griffey baseball game that I've been
Mhm.
coerced into playing in a tournament this Saturday.
Oh no. Anything like, Silver Surfer, Solstice,
Yeah.
that I'm convinced that Tim Follins is the king of NES cartridge music.
Yeah, and never got his due because he worked on so many like Nothing Burger games,
All
like
right. It's a shame.
Anticipation
Oh,
and other stuff that just like never had any sort of weight, like like the SMB3s or the Zeldas
mhm.
or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so I have been trying to for the I've decided to do this. What I want to do is, because I don't want to take anyone's IP, I want to recreate in the spirit of all of our favorite drum sounds from everything from the NES through SNES, Genesis, TurboGrafx, arcade games,
Oh,
even
wow.
pinball, Game Boy stuff. I want to recreate that because a lot of them came from actual just drum machine samples, and I want to
Right.
release it. I want to release it as a pack. So if anyone needs drums for their musical project, and not just game
So
music, but for like any music.
so you want to release, okay, so if I'm understanding this right, you want to release this as a sound pack for like a DAC
That's a collection of samples. And I won't say
collection of
more.
samples.
I
Okay.
won't say more about that.
Okay.
Just because I can't. Um, so what I'm doing is I've
Hmm.
been learning how to um, make drum sounds on the
Mhm.
SNES audio chip,
Oh, that's cool.
and it's really neat because, like, even just without using samples, you can do so much with the different oscillators and stuff. So the craziest thing that I found out is, like, you know how, like, okay, Silver Surfer is a perfect example.
Okay.
You have a bass line, and then you
Okay.
have a drum, and then you have drums.
Hmm.
Those happen on two channels. So like there's a noise channel that's just like white noise. Like white noise is like what you'd hear like if your old school TV was not tuned to a channel.
Yeah.
Just a kind of
I
thing.
remember TVs well. I had one.
Yeah. So like white noise, but you can shape the volume envelope, and you could actually like change the
Oh.
pitch of the white noise in the NES.
Oh.
So that's how you can get some like sounds like a snare drum or a hi-hat. Even kick drums you can sort of do with white noise, cymbals. Um, but the crazy thing, and I looked at basically a recreation of the Silver Surfer like title music or whatever.
Hmm.
And there's okay, so the NES has that noise channel. It has
Yeah.
a triangle wave, which can only be on or off. There's no volume shaping with that. And then it has two square waves, which do a lot of the heavy lifting. They'd usually use that for the melody. And the
Hmm.
square waves, you can have four different pulse widths. So if you think about a
Hmm.
square wave, it's either up or down, right?
Right. Right.
And so it can be up for a duty cycle of 0, 1, 2, or -1.
All right.
And that it just sounds different, for lack of a better description of it. It sounds different. So what Tim Fallon did, and
Hmm.
I think it was pretty game changing, is he didn't use any samples on the NES because you could play back samples, but it took memory. So it was a combination of the noise channel doing the
Yeah.
high end
All right.
for like all the sort of like kind of high frequency stuff, and then
Okay.
the triangle channel was just doing like the meat of the kick and snare, like the sort of, so those two channels combined together would make the drums, but usually the triangle was used for the bass. So how do you do that? So
Wow.
basically it was like it was programmed in a way so you'd hear the like thud of the bass drum, and then it would instantly switch to the bass line every
Oh,
note.
wow.
So it was doing double duty.
So he was like, was it like rapidly switching from one sound to another in such a
Yeah.
way where it sounded like it combined?
It sounded like two different things. And in the same way, it's like you've heard this sound. It's like one oscillator doing
Mhm.
a chord, and all it's
Yeah.
doing is it's switching really quickly between the three notes of a major chord, for example.
Oh, so it's rapidly cycling. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a sound that you will like. I use that in the theme song of this show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the blip, blip, that's that. The little
Very
blip, blip
nice.
at the start of the song. That's what that is. That's just one oscillator. So all this to say, I'm learning how to make so much with so little, and I can't wait to progress to like the Genesis. That's going to be really cool to delve into because that's like, it's 6 channels of FM synthesis plus I think 4 channels of sampling. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And just all the different sample rates. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play them back through the original consoles. So you get the sound of the console.
Right.
Not just an approximation. I don't think anyone's ever done that, to this degree at least.
God, I can't wait to see how this project of yours goes. Like, I can't wait to see, I would love to see progress updates.
I might do some streams of that. It's kind of slow TV, like it's kind of interesting for about 5 minutes, but like it takes hours to do this sort of work.
I can imagine, yeah.
So I might do it. I might do it late at night though.
Like I've seen some oscilloscope versions of songs, like the Solstice theme that Tim Fullen did. I've seen an oscilloscope view of each of the different channels, and that's just fascinating. So, and you're just recreating the sounds, drum sounds that you would have heard on those chips, basically.
Played through those chips and sampled directly from the console.
Oh God, that is fascinating to me. Like something similar, in a way, not similar. Have you ever heard of Jam and Sam Miller?
Yeah, he's the guy he redid all the DKC music.
Yeah,
he basically sourced the original synths that would have been used.
Yeah,
to sample. I'm doing the same thing for drums.
God, and I have followed his work for years, and he's one of my favorite, artists out there, just to recreate something like that. And that's definitely, one of the reasons you've got my full attention.
Yeah. The difference is he's playing it just through a modern DAW, and I'm going to play it through I'm not actually trying to get more fidelity out of it. I'm trying to get less fidelity out of it.
You're purposely limiting it in that way.
I'm embracing the full glory of like the old school limitations.
Man, I cannot wait to see, what you come up with. I can't wait to hear the end result. I love it. Keep it up.
Okay. Well, I will keep you abreast of the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about today?
No. Any other games you're going to play in the future? Because now that you're done with Dark Souls, what's next?
I had the thought of attempting Hollow Knight again.
Oh, okay.
But seeing it as a Souls game rather than as like a cute bug game.
Wait, first of all, it is, but I see your point.
Yeah, it was too hard for how cute it looked, That's what really gets me, is when a game doesn't own up to its level of fuck you.
So you're kind of interested to see, now that you've played Dark Souls and come out of it, a different person than you were before. You kind of want to revisit Hollow Knight and see if things have changed for you through that lens.
Yeah, you're a Hollow Knight fan?
I'm an absolute Hollow Knight fan. I played and beat the original. Yeah,
I would love to see you or hear about you taking on Dark Souls as a 3D Hollow Knight.
All right, you know what? Challenge accepted. And I will be playing that at some point this year.
Let's do it. Okay.
Do it.
All right. Well, I will get Hollow Knighting. The other things I'm excited about is some more Contra speedrunning, and then playing the Contra Hardcore and Contra 3. Those are high on my list of things I need to play. And this baseball tournament.
Like it was the Alien Wars. Is that the third one on Super Nintendo?
Yeah. Contra 3 is the Alien Wars. I should plug the baseball tourney. It's going to be on Jaycox's Twitch, twitch.tv/Jaycox1987.
Very nice. We'll put a link for him in the description.
Yeah, and so it'll be like a sort of a round robin sort of tournament-ish thing. Starts at 3 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, March 9th. I'm pretty sure. Check Jaycox's socials for the actual confirmation of that. but yeah, we're playing Ken Griffey's Major League Baseball for SNES, which I am terrible at. I tried for the first time, and I think I lost 35-0 in my first game.
No.
Yeah, it was not pretty. It was
Oh,
not
no.
pretty.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck with that. I'll see if I can. I'll see about tuning in for sure.
Okay.
All righty.
All right, Curb. Well, it was nice talking to you again, and we'll see you next week. And thanks for tuning in. And I promise to get all of these on your local podcatcher, because there's still all like the last 4 episodes. I think I need to, including this one, I need to upload to the podcast thing.
We've been both need to do some work. I need to get the timestamps on several videos myself. So we both got some homework ahead of us. But I will say this: until then, Scuba, keep on gaming.
Curb, that's my fucking line. I say keep on gaming, but I appreciate it at the same time. And you know what? You keep on gaming, Curb.
I will.
You and everyone who's listening, keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming.